Welcome to the Sheepless Life podcast. We are your hosts, Ivonne Delaflor
and Séverine Naessens, and we are the founders of the Sheepless Life Academy. Join us at sheeplesslife.com for a free and exclusive masterclass on sheepless living.
We created this podcast for women like you, who are ready and eager to live and lead without the herd mentality.
Women who are ready to be, not who your parents told you to be.
Not who the system expects you to be.
Not who the media wants you to be.
But who you can truly become.
So relax, step out of the herd for a moment.
Grab something to sip on and have a pencil at hand just in case you feel the urge to take some notes.
Let's get the show on the road.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you're tuning into this podcast number 54 of the Sheepless Life Academy. With your hosts, Séverine Naessens from Cancun, Mexico, and on the other side of the line we have Ivonne Delaflor, all the way out there in the desert in Las Vegas in the US. Hi Ivonne, how are you today?
I'm excited because we're going to talk about a very heated topic that is happening right now.
Yes.
Especially in the United States. I'm not sure if in other parts of the world, but exactly.
Yes, well, today we've chosen to speak about being voiceless, about being ruled over by others. And in this very particular moment in the US, there has been a lot of polemic and a lot of talk about the bills that have been passed over the last couple of weeks in several states of the USA about abortion, the new abortion bills, anti-abortion bills, where, even women in some states may be prosecuted if they decide to go for an abortion. So there's a lot of topics related to this particular issue, to these particular laws being passed in the US. This is not about the Academy being for or against abortion. This is a talk about our personal opinions as women on what is going on, as this is news that has impacted both of us. And we wanted to share on the air with you what we think, what our feelings are about this, and what ideas we have about that. And we'd like to invite you also to join in the conversation. To if you're live with us right now, you can join in the chat on Spreaker, or you can send us messages both on Instagram and on Facebook on the post that we are putting out there related to this topic. So please join in the conversation. This is important to us. This is important to all women around the world, not only in the US. So Ivonne, all yours.
Well, I'm not sure if this is all mine because this is going to be a conversation. But
Yes.
The first thing I want to speak about, you said something. This may be a heated conversation in the most respectful way, but being ruled over, that called my attention. Number one, it's an illusion that we can rule others. It's a total illusion. Obviously, in this three-dimensional manifestation world, others do attempt to do that. Governments attempt to do that. And a lot of political structures attempt to do that. Mm-hmm. But abortion, before I speak about the abortion things that are going on in the United States, this has been going on since at least openly to the public the 1900s. Mm-hmm. I believe this was since 1973, where the Supreme Court of the United States ruled over, in a lot of states, it was a legal thing to do abortion. And it was under legislation that abortion was like kind of officially put nationwide in the United States in 1973, which I was 2 years old, by the way. I was 2 years old. But what I want to speak, when we speak about this abortion thing that is going on and all the emotional stuff that is coming up, especially for women, I'm going to speak about that systemically, but I'm going to talk about two things: being pro-choice and pro-life.
Yes.
People usually associate the words pro-choice and pro-life to abortion or keeping a child, but really pro-choice and pro-life. It's a part of our right as human beings. I have the choice to be whoever I choose to be, and the choice to have my consequences from my choices. And I am pro-life because pro-life, every single human being deserves to have a life of, that benefits them. And so before even abortion, I want to ask everyone else whether you are against or in favor. Are you pro-choice with your thoughts? Are you respectful of the life of others? Or when they choose to be who they are, do you want them to abort who they are and become who you want them to be? Because then you are no different than a legislator. If you're a woman wanting your man to change to be pro-you, but against to himself, you're asking him to abort who he is. If you're a man asking your wife to be in a certain way that she is not, you are asking her to abort herself and asking her to be pro-you, but against her. So it's super easy to go into trends, to go into, this reminds me of Tiger Woods. I know it has nothing to do, but maybe it has everything to do. For all the legislations and everything. But Tiger Woods was the hero of golf until publicly he had a quarrel with his wife. He was caught what people call cheating, and he was put, it was a massive collective shame that people felt the right to judge someone because he was a public figure. Okay, so in a way, they aborted Tiger Woods. He had an error as a human being, so he has to abort being the pro. Now he returned, and now he's in the glory again because he won the Masters, right? But the point of here is that back to we tend to criticize based on trends rather than choice. For example, I'm not going to join, even though this is the podcast, and I ask the beautiful Séverine, Naessens, my co-founder, to bring this, I'm not going to join the conversation. The reason why is because I am focused on becoming a person that educates others into Planned Parenthood, into planned adulthood, into maturity relationship, into the development of maturity relationship with themselves. I'm someone that is committed, instead of finding judgment, finding a solution. Now, everything has a right to exist. It has a right to exist of people that are against or in favor. It has a right to exist the rage and the anger that a lot of women will have, and they have the right to have it by seeing the Supreme Court or these gentlemen, I don't know, these men, all being men deciding on the body of a woman. I think that's more than abortion. It's a group of men not even knowing what being a woman means. They have no clue, gentlemen, with all my respect. You have no idea what it is to be a woman. We have no idea what it is to be a man. What we do know is that we need to find a bridge of respect between us all. We got to be pro-choice, pro-life, pro-human in our own diversity. Pro-choice, pro-life in our own individuation as consciousness. We don't have even the right, some of us, to think about the right others have of terminating a pregnancy, or to talk about what others cannot do about establishing legislations against certain people or certain races, etc., until we haven't taken full responsibility of our own creation. We have a bunch of immature people in politics right now. I'm going to say it like that. We have teenagers leading countries. We have teenagers of 40 and 50 years old in relationships. We have, and I'm respectful with the teenagers. I'm talking about adults. I'm talking about mature adults that are not behaving as such. So we have an immature system wanting us to be against or in favor of what? So what do you think, Seve?
I am completely on board with you with being pro-choice, being pro-life, being pro-human in our own diversity. I think it's a very important statement that you've put out there. And I do believe that we are all responsible for our own actions, for our own beliefs. And I do think that it is dangerous if we, as humans, as a humanity, as a society, start ruling over other people, making choices for them without hearing their voice, without hearing where they come from, without respecting that diversity that exists among us, and also without protecting life in general. Because I read an article that there's a 11 or 12-year-old girl who was raped, and she is not allowed to terminate that pregnancy, and she has to bring it to term. And it breaks my heart. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and it totally breaks my heart thinking of a girl her age having been through what she has already been through and having to carry a pregnancy for 9 months. Where is the pro-life situation here for that 11 or 12-year-old young teen? Where is the protection of her life? What is that baby going, as that baby comes into this world, where is that child going to end up? An 11-year-old cannot raise another child because she is still a child. And I mean, as a society, we do have, I think the priority is to protect all of us, protect people from being harmed in the first place. I think the more fundamental problem lays further than just the abortion issue. I think it's an issue that goes a lot further with the protection of our women, of our children, against violations of their livelihood, against violations of their security, against violations of their sacredness as a body, as a person, by people that commit those crimes in the first place. And I think there's not enough being done to tackle that. And then again, they go against the abortion law. I mean, I am very pro-life, and personally, I'm speaking for myself. Once again, this is not the opinion of the Academy. This is a very personal opinion of mine. As a woman, as a mother, I think that these bills are a violation of the human rights of many women that have been violated, that have been raped, that have been in situations where they had no choice, where they had no voice at all to first of all protect themselves. And that is the first life that we need to protect our lives first before we can start protecting the lives of those that are to come. So it is a very difficult topic, because in a way you can be against, in a way you can be for, but I do align with you saying, Ivonne, that we are pro-choice, we are pro-life and pro-human in the very first place, and we do need to take responsibility of our actions. And it is not okay for young children, for young children, boys and girls, to be put in situations where they are abused by, and the same goes for women of all ages to be raped and abused by, and then not have the opportunity to choose what they want to do with that child that they carry as a product of that. I think that is a very first issue for me that brought up a whole bunch of emotions when I read about these laws. And I've been going through a little bit of information, and as you mentioned, it was in 1973 a case, Roe versus Wade, which is basically a landmark decision that was made by the U.S. Supreme Court, and it ruled that abortions have been banned except to save the life of the mother. That the law that banned abortions, that was unconstitutional. So that is a or a bill that was passed. It was not a bill. It was a decision by the Supreme Court that has been taken into hand by people that are striving to protect life, to protect also the choice of women either to go for an abortion or not in case of a rape and violation of their own personal human rights. So it is a difficult case. The only thing is that now the standard that was set by that ruling said that an abortion was allowed in certain cases up to a pregnancy at about 24 weeks, which has been brought back to none at all for the state of Alabama, and it has been reduced to about 6 weeks in Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Ohio, Missouri as well, and Arkansas and Utah are bringing it back to about 18 weeks of pregnancy. Usually we find out that we are pregnant as women at about 8 or 9 weeks in the pregnancy. So it is a critical decision by the lawmakers to bring those times down this far, in my very personal opinion. And I do think that to be able to be pro-choice, pro-life, pro-human, we need to take responsibility of our own actions as human beings in general. That goes for men, for women, for young adults, for elderly. It goes for all humanity, that we should be responsible. And one of the teachings that you have brought, you always bring forward so strongly throughout all of your teaching, not only in the academy, is that, as you say, everything has a right to exist, and we are respectful of what others choose to do in any situation throughout life. So yes, I'm getting all fired up by this topic. So, folks, I've been going on, and Ivonne is off. Apparently, I've lost her. I've lost connection with Ivonne. I can't hear her.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, Ivonne.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
Okay. No, that's great. No, I'm glad that you went on that route, because very quickly, when I use the golden rule and I put myself in the shoes of this legislation that is deciding over the women's bodies, because that's what is happening. Regardless, I've heard a lot of people that I respect, and those are men. Some are men that have movements for warriors, for men in the world. I've heard them in live streams, in Insta lives, speaking about, just imagine this, a baby in the womb that is perfectly formed, and a woman is snatching it or killing it, talking to this guy to his daughters. I'm listening to a lot of men having the opinions, and a lot of women having the opinions based on religion, based on them having children, based on all sorts of imaginations that are not based, some of them in reality, and some of them are based in very old ways of thinking. So the one thing I can tell you that I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-life, I'm both at the same time, is I am pro-choice, that everybody has their choices, whether there's legislation or no. Obviously, everybody will not everybody's pro cause and effect, but everybody wants to be pro-choice sometimes or against the choice. But the second thing is pro-life. I am so pro-choice and pro-life that I'm even pro-supporting the fact that there are many voices of women in the world saying, you cannot rule my body. This voice, now I'm going to go a little meta and a little deeper. Women, yes. It is your responsibility to speak up. Women, ladies, it is your responsibility to say no. Ladies, women, it is your responsibility to train your boys when they are little in the ways of nourishment and respect. Your little boys, those men that you don't want to rule your bodies, are the same boys that were ruled either by your rage or your negligence or your lack of presence or your own unmet needs, it is your responsibility to tell the world what you need. It is your responsibility to speak up, ladies. Whatever it is, whether you are pro or against, whether you are pro-life or not, begin to speak up. Because, we are now getting exactly what we wanted. This is going to sound so harsh.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be able to speak our voice. Remember, there's an incredible essayist, I think that's how you say it in English. I think it's Audre Lorde, that says, your silence will never protect you. So, first of all, tribute to all the ladies that are speaking up. Second, when you speak up, investigate your topic. Do research before you do that. The more educated you are, the more power you will become. Not you will have. You don't want to have the power. You want to become the power in you. And number 3, meta-consciousness wise, this is the time when the divine feminine rises and tells the sacred masculine, it's time for us all to grow up. It's time for us to take care of our sexuality. And there's a lot of rapes based on a lot of lack of initiation with men.
Yes.
There's a lot of rapes happening also. I saw a video the other day of a mature woman raping a little boy.
Oof.
So I want to bring these topics just to stir up conversations. We're not arriving to any, this is not a point where we're going to arrive. So what does Ivonne think, or Séverine thinks, or the Academy thinks? And I want to stir up the pot. And I want to stir up the pot so we can sit in the circle of life, all of us together, bring the fire of diversity in the center of our global community as human beings, and see if we can sit in respect, at least for an hour, and see if we can sit with respect at least for a romance, and see if we can sit in respect at least for a business, and see if we can sit at least for a couple of mistakes, or a mistake that you do and I do, and we still can be pro-choice of love. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's possible for humanity, but I have hope for it. I don't know if it's hope. I don't know if it's possible for the way human consciousness is being abused right now, but I have hope for it. Because luckily for all of us, infinite divine intelligence has existed before all this madness, all of these defiance and all these wars between the male and the female, these stupid things. There's a book called I think it's called The Alpha Male, or I don't know. It has given a lot of voice to a lot of men that were abandoned or abused, or they didn't have their mother around, but it's creating a lot of wounds between men and women. There's a lot of feminist books out there that is creating a lot of women becoming like men, thinking, I got to have this, I got to pay everything for my family. If we all stop this madness for a moment, and we are able to sit in for an hour, or at least maybe 5 minutes, with all of this madness of the fire in the center, and maybe not say anything, and from there begin to speak, I think we will create conversations that will move us all forward to where we want to be. But number 1, if you want to hear my opinion, any man and women that tells you you can or cannot do this with your body, there is a quote, and I think it got published on Facebook. I'm going to read it to you. It's C. Joy Bell. People can have their opinions about everything in the world. We can come and do a podcast and tell you our opinion. It's really our opinion, but listen to this. People can have their opinions about everything in the world, but people's opinions end where the tip of my nose begins. Your opinions of others can only go so far as to where their own shoreline is.
Yes.
The world is for your taking, but other people are not. Very important. One is only allowed to have an opinion of me if that person is done educating herself on everything about me. So everyone that gives opinions about Tiger Woods, it ended in his nose. Anyone that has an opinion about Jesus and about Mary Magdalene, look at the story, how it goes. Mary Magdalene is having a rebirth right now worldwide in the mystical and the spiritual communities. Now she's beginning to be praised as a great ascended master. Before she was a prostitute. So your opinions, darlings, don't matter if you don't do the freaking work. If you don't do the work, if you call, I get so many opinions, Ivonne. You should do this. You should produce this, your network. You should do this, your business. This is the way you should do things. If I pay you, give me the opinion. Number one. Number two, if you made the studies of me, if you made the studies of our businesses and you saw the glitch and you did the work, I will pay you for you to give me the opinion. I will beg you for you to give me your opinion. That's when I will turn it to feedback. So one is only allowed to have an opinion of me if that person is done educating him, herself on everything about me. Men have no authority over bodies, the bodies of women. Women, you have your authority of you. Before people educate themselves on everything about you, they are not allowed to open their venomous mouths and have an opinion about you. This is C. Joy Bell, but for the legislators and for the governments, they can kill us. They can beat up the bodies. They can enslave us. But as long as you keep your mind free, your spirit intact, and you continue to speak up what is in your heart, I believe we will have started the negotiations of peace between men and humans, men and women, which is in benefit of humankind.
Absolutely.
This is my rant. This is a rant podcast. This is not a podcast today. This is a rant podcast. This is a couple of thoughts, a couple of sharings. But darlings, before you go and give your opinion on abortion, make your research. Number two, remember, silence will never protect you. Little boys and little girls. Silence will never protect us. Neither words will do unless your words come from education. Look at Malala. Look at the beautiful Brené Brown talking about vulnerability. Look at a lot of brave souls that have dared to speak up what others not, but they have done the work of daily investment, daily educating, and instead of just being passionately ranted by a topic in trend, educate yourself. See if we can bring more maturity for everyone during this situation that is calling for women to not only raise their voices with wisdom, but to raise their heart to their mind, so the minds of those who are ignorant about how to educate, how to bring, instead of an abortion legislation, let's bring more Planned Parenthood. Let's bring more anti-rape classes. Let's bring more initiation for men. There's a group called Sacred Sons, the Mankind Project, and a couple, I was going to name others, but these are the guys that I know that right now they're highly respectful of women, and they are not creating clans of followers. They're creating, respecting more leaders. Sacred Sons and the Mankind Project.
Yes.
Men need initiation. Women need initiation too. Ladies, begin to be more ladylike. Gentlemen, you have our support. And so let's stop aborting each other out of the system of consciousness and of God. And let's bring more pro-choice and pro-life into our human souls. I'm out of here because I'm getting super ranted, and that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We're looking forward to hearing from you, to reading your comments, and we will hear you next week. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to this weekly podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Share your thoughts with us on Facebook.com/Sheepless Life Academy and learn firsthand how to live a sheepless life with Ivonne and receive an exclusive in-depth masterclass at sheeplesslife.com.